Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Mense van die Kaapse vlakte. Hope you guys are good. Dit gaan goed saam met julle. Man, I'm so sad. 49 refugees left South Africa for America. Now, I'm not sad. I can go. It's fine. We are here. We are staying behind. We're fixing South Africa. Ek kan nie verstaan mense wat refugees was gaan met sakke van R4,000 overseas in 'n bottel branders en biltongie. But yeah, that's a story for another day. I think at the end of the day, you know what, we that's staying behind, we're going to rebuild this country. Every other country has their issues, and it's how you deal with it. And it's actually sad that people think there's a genocide happening here. There's no genocide happening. Yes, we have a corrupt government that we have to be honest about. A government that don't care about people. But genocide, I haven't seen any genocide. I think in Cape Town, it's the colored people that die every day. It's us that dies every day, and nothing is being done about it. There's no one stepping in, you know. So I think that is the genocide really in South Africa. But enough about that. So last week, a mother from the Cape Flats messaged me to ask me for a pair of gloves, soccer gloves, and her son's gloves was actually broken. And then I put it on the page, and then a lovely group of people said, okay, we're going to sponsor him with a pair of gloves. And I went to go fetch it, I think, Thursday. So a big shout out to Tyron and to the coach that also came on board. And I went to go fetch it. And when I took it to this young man, he was so excited because his gloves, as you saw in the pictures, were literally broken. And so he has a new pair of gloves. And he's actually a potential goalkeeper for a potential club, maybe for Bafana if they're looking for him. And then, and so that same day, Thursday, Cape Town City FC called me as well and asked me if I can't send him their way. So on Friday, this young man with the name of Jordan went to Cape Town FC to go spend some time with Darren Keat, the goalkeeper over there, and he got some amazing tips and he was so motivated that the evening his mom called me and said, Stan, this boy didn't drop the ball once during practice on Friday. So I think it was a good day for Jordan and his mother. And so that's how we changed the narrative. We changed the narrative by working together. And so a big shout out to Cape Town FC for partnering with us and making this boy's dream come true. And there's many young boys like that we want to reach out to. So I've got something planned, but I won't tell you now. You must follow me. We will do more of these things in the future. But I have a young lady in the studio with me. She's well known. She's not a stranger to you guys. You that are listening to Hot 104.9 and other platforms. She is on net stations and net platforms, and she speaks about therapy, hurt and so on. And tonight we are privileged to have her in the studio. With me in the studio, I have the young Candice Warner. Good evening, Candice. Welcome to Cape Stories.
Thank you for having me. 2 compliments in one day. I'd love to. I'm young, but I'm off the calendar. And I'm absolutely honored myself to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's only a pleasure. Candice, tell us more about yourself. From where are you? Tell us more about your upbringing and just your studies and so on.
Yeah.
And where you find yourself.
So I am born and bred out of the community of Belhar. Grew up in a family of 5. I have 2 younger siblings, parents who later got divorced, and so now, fast forward many years later, I'm part of what we call a blended family. I'm the eldest of 9 siblings within that context and space. I'm also a mom to a very busy 6-year-old boy. And I think for me, if I were to attempt to describe myself, I'd probably say to you, I'm a person who gains a sense of self through the relationships in her life. And so beyond being a social worker or a mental health professional, beyond being a psychology and social work lecturer, educator, I am a person who identifies as a mom, a friend, a daughter, a sister, a cousin, and I think each of us can resonate in some or other way because we ultimately walk life, fulfilling these varying roles on our path. I studied social work at the University of the Western Cape, proudly so, and then furthered into a master's in law a few years after. Worked in government like most social workers do at the start of their career, and then was met with a passion for teaching, and that's where I was afforded, a space and opportunity to lecture at the university for about 4 or 5 years. And then I have since been teaching at the South African College of Applied Psychology, also going into 5 years now.
Wow.
So been teaching for the past 10 years, something I'm deeply passionate about. And yeah, I guess I'm here because of something that emerged last year and that happened on my career path and journey, and that's that I have published a book, which I think deeply zooms in on you and I as adults, understanding why we show up the way we do. And a lot of that has to do with earlier experiences or things that have happened in those formative earlier childhood experiences and years.
The title of your book, Reparenting the Inner Child. We all have the little child inside of us. And that child has been hurt somewhere along the line. That child has been disappointed. And in many instances, that child comes out and he becomes the naughty child. But tell us about why have you titled your book, Reparenting the Inner Child?
I think it was a journey for me. The writing of this book took about 2 years, on and off. And as much as I would have liked to believe that it was a journey of me writing largely to, gift this to the world, I deem it my gift to the world. I do think at the same time that a lot of reparenting had to happen for me. And so it was quite a direct reflection or mirror back to my own lived experiences. And so reparenting the inner child, a deeply profound title, I think. And the reason I think that is because I know that on some or other level, in some or other way, whether small or big, it will resonate with an individual or with a person, simply for the fact that each of us, I think just on the basis of not being perfect, we can all identify we are human, and because we are human, we are fallible. And because we are fallible, we're going to fall short. Exactly. That is inevitable. And so I think it's David Stoop that says that each family, regardless of your context, your lineage, your background, each of us have within our family spaces a certain level of dysfunction that exists. That includes me, it includes you. So I am myself not excluded from that. And I think that's a good place to start. And I think that's also where we're able to identify that potentially there's something here, there's something that potentially I need to dig into. And like you referenced, there's this little child in each of us. Yes, because each of us as adults today, we have come through childhood, our childhood lived experiences, and whether that included adversities or challenges. I think if you have had none of the above, you are definitely the exception and not the rule. And so again, to revert back to what David says, it's that there is within each of our family spaces a certain level of dysfunction. And I think reparenting the inner child is just the journey that you and I take as an adult to consciously provide for whatever those unmet childhood needs were.
Something very interesting that I want to ask you. How childhood trauma and tough experiences affects us later in life. I think that is something, I mean, personally, I come from a very tough childhood. And it didn't affect me when I was in my 20s, only in my late 20s, 30s, that trauma surfaced. And many of us don't know how to deal with it because automatically your mind becomes a battlefield. Somebody said to you when you were younger, you won't make it, you are stupid. They said all the things about you. And now you are 32, 33. And that really now actually, because you haven't accomplished a lot in life. And it sort of makes sense. But it doesn't make sense because you are believing something that somebody sowed into your life. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I think it's quite fitting for you and I think as adults to, in order to understand or better understand why we behave the way that we do or why we project whatever we are projecting out into the world, we have to go down the rabbit hole and we need to go and find what were those earlier lived experiences that I had encountered. And I think one of the first things that you and I need to do once we get there is to understand that trauma is not so much the event that has happened to you and I when someone says, I'm traumatized, or I've been traumatized, we reference quickly that there was an event or incident attached to that. Trauma is actually the wound that you sustain because of what has happened. So it's not so much about what has happened to you, it is what is happening inside of you because of what has happened to you, as a result of what has happened to you. And so let's start there. Let's start with being able to identify exactly what those experiences were for you. In the book, without giving too much away, because you've asked me not to give too much away, I speak about the model which is referred to as the river of cruelty. And I think this is something that we as people of color can certainly identify with if we just look at the disparities and the difficulties of what we face on the Cape Flats and in our respective communities. So this model, the river of cruelty, is, I want you to picture a landscape of a river that is flowing. And what the river demonstrates is that there's this perpetuated cycle of cruelty that we endure from generation to generation. So it gets passed on from parent to child and so forth and so forth. And so first, it's for us to understand what is cruelty. Cruelty is, and it's twofold. The first definition is someone wanting to blatantly or intentionally cause harm or suffering. Now, you and I don't have to go very far to experience this. We don't even, for many instances, have to leave our front door or leave our front yard to experience intentional harm or suffering, because this is what is happening within our family systems and homes. And then the second definition of cruelty is something that all of us have probably been guilty of, me too, and that is the blatant disregard of another person. And so the first thing is the acknowledgement of whatever those experiences of cruelty have been within your family space. Now, what we do as a people, I don't want to reference and say as a people of color, but if we need to own it, then we need to own it, is that we are so good at sweeping things under those rugs. And we don't want to call out whatever those experiences of cruelty have been within our family spaces. And when we want to try and really identify what this looks like, we're talking about substance abuse, we're talking about a parent who was in prison or incarcerated, we're speaking about domestic violence in the home, we're speaking about drug use, alcohol use. All of these experiences are seen as experiences of cruelty. There was one I added in the book, and I said, even if you were a child who found themselves in a home where there was constant hostility, where a parent either ignored you to enforce punishment, or a parent ignored the other parent to send a message, and you were part of that, or you formed part of that. Those are seen as experiences of cruelty. And what children do is, because they cannot comprehend and they cannot process and understand what is happening, and often parents minimize their feelings or completely invalidate that a child is even within that space. You don't really matter, you don't have a voice because you are a child. That child now is left with an adverse feeling. So it's that feeling, I wake up wishing I didn't feel. And this is where defense mechanisms are established. It's when I don't want to feel that way, so I'm going to find another way to feel. I'm going to do what I need to do to not feel what I need to feel or what I'm experiencing here. And our bodies and our brains are capable of amazing things when it goes into survival mode.
Candice, so in our homes, like you said, many of these things are being passed down from my grandfather to my father to me. And so we don't talk. We ignore one another. And so now we're actually sending this over to the next generation, because my son sees me not talking to my wife. He sees me, like you say, some of them will even abuse. Some of the men or women will abuse one another. We have not really learned to communicate. And when we communicate, we think, because we saw it previously, violence is the answer. How do we, I mean, in the church, sorry, I must not bring this up.
You're bringing up the controversial topics, sure.
I'm going to bring it up. We have this thing, and even in the Muslim religion as well, in the mosque as well. The woman must be objective to the husband. They must obey the husband. Sometimes the husband is wrong. The husband becomes abusive. But because of the Bible is telling us that we must obey the husband, but we're not saying we can only obey the husband if the husband has a relationship where he listens to the wife. Because we become so dominated where it's my law, it's my rules, and you will do what I tell you. How do we help our females? Because that is also a reason why our gender-based violence numbers are high. Because of scriptures that we quote, but we don't understand the scriptures. The scriptures, I must protect my family. Yes, I must listen to my wife. But at the end of the day, I am going to make a decision based on both opinion. How do we navigate through that?
Yeah, it's very difficult, I suppose, in reality, you know, because I think any journey of healing that you and I take on, meaning that ability or capacity rather to want to look inward to better understand why am I showing up in the way that I am, why am I behaving in this way, it starts with acknowledgement. And I'll go back to the reference on the river of cruelty, meaning that perpetuated ongoing cycle of cruelty. The question then becomes, how do I get out of this river? How do I get out of this river that has caused so much hurt, so much pain within my family system and within my family context? We make that painful shift in our lives when we can acknowledge what those experiences of cruelty were, and that's really the only time at which you're able to, I think, effectively have a conversation or communicate with someone about it, and you know, call it out, is when there's an acknowledgement of what has happened. And because we cannot bring ourselves to a place of acknowledging, there's this analogy that I've been referencing for the past year and a half, and I do it because I know people can identify with it, and it's that each of us, we carry a bag. It's a metaphorical bag, but we carry this bag, and each of us, we carry differently. There are of us who are light travelers, and that's again the people who are the exception and not the rule. You know, they are lucky, they are fortunate if they have not experienced any kind of heaviness or burdening in their lifetime. But then there's the rest of us, and that's most of us, and it's that we've become hoarders of every lived experience in our lives, which means, or how we can translate that, is that we carry heavy. We walk through life, we have no capacity to parent, to take in, to show up, because we are carrying so heavy. And a lot of those, the things that we are carrying within that bag, so just for us to better understand, what you're carrying is the narratives, it's the stories, it's the things that you have packed into that bag based off of what you have gone through. Why it matters? Because the stories that you and I tell ourselves about who we are, that is who we become. So now we're walking with that bag, we are carrying those stories, and you know what is so interesting is that a lot of the times we aren't carrying our real believed perception or idea of who we are. We're carrying things that others have said about us. You are a drug addict, a tukop, you are the following, you are a failure, you are not worth much. We put those narratives into that bag, and that is what begins to feel heavy eventually. Now we're in our adulthood, and that's what trauma does. Now it permeates through our bodies, because it's going to now eventually show up within our adult life. And that becomes the distorted almost image or view that we then carry, because we're carrying so much. And so the journey really is back to what is reparenting. It is very gentle and with a lot of compassion, seating yourself on the ground, opening up your bag, and beginning to unpack the stories, the lived experiences, the narratives that you find no longer serve who you are, or serves the person that you desire to be. And I want to just maybe emphasize something on that. You must tell me if I'm speaking too much.
I'm listening, I'm so into the conversation.
It reminds me of and I think the people in the room are going to identify. Usually when I make this analogy or explanation to my students, they're like, ma'am, we don't know what you're referring to, like the younger generation. But we all watched the movie Home Alone growing up, and we loved that child star or actor in that movie. And a few years ago, he was seen walking, by the paparazzi, he was seen walking on the street, and he looked extremely homeless. He looked like worn out, down and out. Like the people went mad. Just, you know, this thing went viral. What happened to this child star that we all grew up loving, and this movie that we were so attached to as kids? Really difficult mental health crisis or mental crisis and challenge in his life. And any of us can find ourselves there at any point and any time in our lives. 2 years later, he's walking the catwalk, and Vogue quotes him, and they say, what a plot twist. What a plot twist. He's walking the catwalk for Gucci, and they say, what a plot twist. Is this the same guy we saw 2 years ago? It cannot possibly be. And here's what I want to get to is that at any point in time that you and I decide as adults, it is a decision that we consciously have to make and intentionally have to make. And that's the healing journey. It has to be intentional on our part. Sometimes we aren't ready and it's okay, but when are we going to get there, you know? So at any point in time, if you as adult decide, to those listening this evening, I don't want to walk carrying all of what I've been carrying because this is not the person that I desire to be, then you very much have the autonomy to say, let me unpack the bag, let me remove those things that do not serve who I desire to be, because surely you too can hit the world with your plot twist. You can reinvent, re-establish, reintroduce yourself in whichever way you want.
Wow. There's something that you've mentioned, that reinventing yourself, but the unpacking part, because the unpacking part is where the hurt comes in. Because now you take the bag and you unpack everything. This one said that, this one said this, and that hurts. I mean, I went for operation and the scar's almost gone, or it's almost healed, and I'm almost past that. But when somebody said something to me, I'm still for many years grappling with that. Somebody said to me this, and I'm almost 46 years old, but for the last 30-something years, I've been grappling with that.
Okay.
And how do you, because I mean, getting hurt physically is one thing, but the emotional hurt is something else.
Yeah.
So when you unpack and you sit, how do we deal with that, Candice? Because I know it's the hurt, the inside is it maakt die seeste.
Yeah, I think we need to look at our self-awareness. We need to look at how aware am I truly of what is happening with all of me, my mind, my emotions, my physical body. Yeah. It is for you and I to be able to acknowledge those things to ourselves first and foremost. And that's not going to happen if we do not have the ability or capacity to reflect or to bring that thing into awareness, into our conscious mind and memory and thinking for ourselves. So it has to start there. And I think what I'm getting at saying is it's about the connection and the relationship that you have with yourself. Now let's look at what you had started by saying, is that someone had said something to you and it took you back, or it took you to a place where you're like, wow, I thought I overcame this, I thought I've moved through this, this happened so many years ago. What that says is that you are being triggered by what the person has said. And here's the thing about a trigger is that a trigger points us to where the wound is. Yes. So when you are finding yourself as an adult triggered by something someone has said or done, the first port of call on you to bringing that into awareness is saying, okay, Stanley, what about that upset you so much? What about that angered you so much? And that's a journey that you have to take with yourself. That is a connection that you have to deepen within yourself. If we cannot fundamentally have those types of conversations with ourselves, the healing process is going to be really long and really weary, and we are going to find it very difficult, if even possible at all.
Relationships, if it's parents, if it's marriage, if it's brothers and sisters, that is one of the things that actually hurts us the most, is when somebody that you love hurts you. And in most cases, in our cases, it's an absent father. We have this issue on the Cape Flats where absent fathers and mothers actually sorts of triggers memories. And many young people are growing up without a mentor. Now you know how important a mentor is. Now, not having a mentor or protector just leads to more hurt. What do we say to the young people, for a young person that's going through the most difficult things in their lives? How do we encourage them? Because I know you work with young people. These young people out there that's probably watching or going to watch this, that has been hurt over the years. How do we talk to them and encourage them, and what is the steps they should take to start the healing process? Because I think if you start the healing process early in your life, it will just make it easy for you as you go into your journey.
Yes, certainly so. I think what's fundamental for each of us to know, or to remember at least, is that we are wired for connection. We are wired for relationship with people. Of course, that relationship starts with ourselves, And then it extends into those closest to us, almost our inner circle, our family. For many, it's not their family, right? And then it expands into community and society at large, because you and I also have a responsibility to broader society and broader community. And so let's begin to perhaps just first and foremost identify and acknowledge that we are wired for relationship. And that's why when relationships present as absence, or a parent is not present in their respective role and what they're meant to show up as and who they're meant to be, there's a wound that we are left with because of that absence. Because in an ideal world, and we know we don't live in one, a parent is meant to parent. They are meant to be present as caregivers. They are meant to show up as caregivers. At the start of my book, in the first chapter, I speak about this concept of safety. Now, if we were to ask anybody, what do you understand by this word safety? You'd probably explain, especially within South Africa, it's, like burglar bars, closed doors, locked doors, to keep safe. But the safety I'm describing or explaining is that emotional sense of safety that you and I are wired for. Our brains are wired for safety. The reality, though, Stanley, is that our first experience of safety is a wordless experience. It's the experience that you had when you were still in your mother's womb. What does that mean? That whatever your mother had gone through whilst you were still in her womb would have inevitably impacted on your emotional state before you've even entered into the world. What does that mean? Furthering is that I can be born into this world already feeling distressed by the experiences that I had whilst in the womb. And that's where safety starts. It starts there. And often for many kids, like you've said, there's an absence of that emotional safety. So what would I encourage a young person with? Like you said, there's a lack of mentors. So I think it's for adults within community spaces to step up. Where you're seeing a child requires a person who is safe, a person who can show up for them. It's then to ask, could I potentially be that person? Could I show up in this capacity for this child? There's an interesting research or study that has proven that a child just needs one positive role model. Someone that is consistent, someone that shows up. It could be a teacher, a coach, it could be a community person, anybody that is willing and capable of showing up in a consistent way. What does it mean? They need individuals who are safe for them, because in that absence of safety, that's where the wound has been sustained. And the only way that we can almost combat that or come up against that is to make our nervous system our ally, to say, okay, how do I then seek out safe people, safe places, safe spaces? I often say when I do mental health talks, I can probably just share the one sentence with you and then conclude on the talk. It's that if you can find, this is how we maintain good mental health, find people and places and spaces that make you feel safe. Find people and places and spaces that make you feel safe. Safety is the key.
Candice, there's so a lot to talk about, but we have other guests also. But I want you to just show them your book.
Sure.
Because I want them to follow you. The few thousand that will be watching.
Am I showing you?
You can show them the book. Where can they purchase the book? And just a bit of a debrief on the book.
Yeah, so the book is actually divided into two parts, part A and part B. Part A is deeply reflective. So it's really calling out that self-awareness that I mentioned earlier, that ability to tap in. Sometimes we need a guide on how to effectively do that. How do I bring myself into awareness, into being consciously aware? And once you have now started taking that journey, the first part of the book takes you through your childhood lived experiences. It takes you through the river of cruelty. How do I make that painful shift out of the river? How do I break the barrier? How do I begin to break the patterns in my life, the unhealthy patterns? And the second part of the book is the practical ways in which you're able to do that. So actual habits and things that you can incorporate into your day-to-day. There's writing space in the book, but many of people who've bought it have said, I had to get an extra journal just to journal in there. But it allows you actually just to sit with yourself and to journal through this experience. And so the book can be purchased at Protea Bookstore in Claremont, on Takealot, shofarbooks.co.za. To the people on the Cape Flats, it's in the libraries, so
Yeah.
you're free to go and grab
No,
one.
but they
and-
must go buy. They can't be cheap. They must go buy the book. They must support you.
And then also on my website, my details are at the back of the book as well. If you want to reach out to me once you've purchased the book, I'd love that. But the connectionfocustherapist.co.za, and that's on all my social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Connection Focus Therapist, yeah. And you can purchase it directly from me as well.
Okay. Candice, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And any last words you want to just leave them with, you know, especially people going through the healing process? What is the last word you want to encourage someone with?
That makes me think quite a bit. I'm looking in there. I guess I hope that, you know, if something within what was shared this evening between myself and Stanley resonated with you in any way, it is my hope and my prayer that you would feel prompted and you would feel led to taking on your own journey of healing. Because you and I, as parents, whatever we show up as and whatever we do, you know, that becomes our children's internal working model. Our behavior becomes our children's internal working model. It becomes who they see themselves as and what they project out into the world. And so the journey really does start with us as parents. Yeah, the call's on you.
The call is on you. So
The
thank
call
you
is
so
on
much,
you.
Candice,
Thank
and I
you.
will follow you.
Thank
and
you.
Hopefully we will have this conversation again.
Lovely.
continue it.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. That was Candice Warner. You can actually follow her on her social media, and please purchase her book. I think it's a good time for us to start having the conversation. We need to start the healing process. But with me in the studio, I've got the Buddha that flew all the way from New Zealand. The problem I have with him is he's now also a New Zealand supporter, but we will talk about that as he comes up. I'll be back now with you guys, Thank you, Candice.
A quiet one.
Yeah. And our first guest coming from New Zealand.
Oh,
We had to put that in from Joburg. So guys, I have the New Zealand team with me, Mr. Namsblake. I've got two gentlemen with me. They will introduce themselves now. So you guys will see over the last few weeks, I have new glasses. It's a new brand. It's really smart. And the nice thing about this is, so you guys know how I walk every day. And the glasses has built-in headphones or earphones, and they also have a built-in mic as well. So when you walk, you can actually listen to your music and also interact with your phone. So people think I'm crazy, but I'm not. So they will tell us more about the brand, Salie Miles. So with me in the studio, I have Salie Miles. Welcome to Cape Town Studios.
Thank you, Stanley. But before we discuss this, Stanley, even though I'm in New Zealand, I'm still a Springbok.
Okay, you're Springbok. So Salie told me on Sunday that he followed me with a love story that Cape Town. And he used to follow every chapter, so that is how he started following. So that's a couple of years ago. But tell me, what do you do in New Zealand? How did you end up there? Just to give people the context.
Look, it was actually always my dream to travel. So my journey started in 2016, 2015 to 2016. My journey started from Cape Town to New Zealand, and had a few family members over there. And then went over there for a bit of a holiday, and then fell in love with the New Zealand Auckland. And from there, we just been growing from strength to strength.
And you took the family over there?
Yes. Okay. So we met with my wife, and at the time we had 4 kids.
Okay, so now we have now?
Now 5. One is Auckland, one is Auckland. But the other was still Springboks. So we basically started our journey over there, and even though New Zealand is actually a very lovely, amazing place, very good for family, but you know what, you still miss Cape Town.
Yes.
You still miss the people, you still miss the environment, the people, and that's what attracts you, to still want to come back home.
Yes.
Even though, you've been there, your journey's there, you progress there, but your journey, your heart is still in Cape Town.
You still want to be here.
Yes,
100%. And the Cape Town. And so, Miles, tell us more about you are the representative here in Cape Town.
Miles is the founder.
I'm one of the founders.
Okay.
So I originate from the Cape Town. So I've been in the optical industry for, I would say, more than 20 years. Reason being is I come from a family with a rich history in the optical industry, so I've grown around the industry and stuff, so I've always been exposed to the optical side of things. And then 2023 we discovered a very interesting product. And then we looked into it and we did some research around it and we discovered this product is actually a problem solver. And that especially in the world we live in now with technology and things like that. And my optical experience, I put it together. This product, and that's how V-Smart was established in 2023. And then Salie and I know Salie from back in the day here in Cape Town. We know each other. We're not foreign, so so him and I, we hooked up, and then we just ventured into this product, and he's here in Cape Town now. He was here in December. We looked at the market and things, and we thought, no, it's too much potential, so he came back in now 2 weeks. Friday. So we've been looking to go into the brand and to penetrate the market as much as possible.
Tell me quickly, so the brand V-Smart, it gets imported from New Zealand to Cape Town. Okay, so it's not manufactured here, but however, there is support.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Tell us more about. Do you have a period that you can just?
Yes, Miles can show you. But before we, I just want to say a shout out to my colleague, our other director in New Zealand, Kashif Brophy.
Okay.
We just want to say, Kashif, you know what? We appreciate everything you do.
Yeah.
And he's holding the fort in New Zealand.
Okay.
So we love you, Kashif. You're listening. We love you. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
And thank you. Just for holding the fort for us. Because without our structure and our support, from everyone, even to the community, and it's for us as a business, from a growing business. It's very important, for us also. So we just want to say a big shout out to Kashif, because Kashif is the backbone of the business.
Awesome.
So but he's not here yet.
Yes, I am very impressed with his glasses because I've had it now for 3 weeks.
Yes,
3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I went, so there's a spot in, people that want to go to an optometrist, they can go to the one in Claremont. They also do eye tests there as well. So this is sunglasses, and they can go for prescription glasses as well.
So Sorry, Stan, I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
want to break
yeah,
your word.
sure,
You know,
sure.
so what we're actually going to change the role over here. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell the listeners.
Yeah.
You know,
Let's do
what
it.
do you think about the product? You know, because you tested it, you trialed it,
Yeah.
and what do you think? Because the user experience,
Yeah.
it's absolutely amazing. You know, so you give us a bit of insight, you know, into the eyewear and into the glasses. Yes.
I'm very much impressed with his glasses. So
Nice.
I had it now almost 3-4 weeks, right?
Mm.
So every week I at least walk from Muizenberg to Vishoek.
Yes.
In the last 9 months, I had 4 pair of headphones. It
Yes.
broke because it just happens.
Mm.
With his glasses, the only thing about his glasses is you need to charge it.
Yeah.
But if you charge it, it lasts me. So I can do about between 12 and 14 kilometers, which is about hook,
Yes.
which is about 4 hours.
Yeah.
So the battery lasts long in here.
Yes.
The quality of the sound is good. I've put on a beanie and I could hear it's like a bass,
It's like a
echo
yes.
sound in here. It's
Surround
quiet.
sound.
Yeah,
Yes.
surround
Yeah,
sound.
yeah.
So the quality is good and the frame is also good.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you. Before this, and let me be very honest, I'm comparing it now to Ray-Ban. Let me be honest. This is an open platform. Ray-Ban is expensive. I only wear Ray-Bans and I put it away because I want to also support my own brothers.
Nice.
You guys are from the Cape Flats.
Thank you.
I want to support you guys in a sense of that. How are we going to change the Cape Flats if we don't support one
100%.
another? But not only that, it's a good quality product.
Yes.
I'm wearing it. Every time when you see me on the platform, if you see me in the road, this is what I have on. So I don't advertise something that I'm not wearing. And they didn't pay me to do this. So I can be honest, I think it's a good product.
Nice.
I think where they're going, if you're going to start now supporting them, you're going to be very proud of where this product is going.
Nice. Thank you, Stan.
Hmm?
So Miles will do it.
In terms like you saying where we're going, so we just partnered with some guys in Nairobi, Kenya. So we are pushing the product out into Africa.
Okay.
So we're in the processes of getting everything set up. And hopefully, God willing, that everything will materialize and then we'll be into Africa. And then obviously we're based
New Zealand.
as well, and
Okay.
Cape
Yeah.
Town.
And then we're looking at going to Australia also.
Yeah.
So it's New Zealand, Cape Town, Kenya,
Yeah.
and Australia. We're looking at venturing to USA.
And you guys, if anybody lives overseas, like say in the USA, you can export it to them as
Yes,
well.
100%.
So
yes.
there is an option like
Yes.
that. Because there's a lot of our people following us, and we'll watch this later on.
Yes.
That is from Auckland and as well as England. And I know some of them follow us. So maybe if they are interested, they can obviously contact you. How do they get hold of you?
Okay, so we got email addresses and we've also got a website.
Yeah.
We can leave the details with you afterwards, but it's www.vsmarteyewear.co.za. And then for the people that's international in New Zealand, it's what's the
Vision83optical.com.
.com,
Okay. And what is the price range? Because people are asking me, what is the price range of it? And it also means from what price to what price can they expect?
Yeah, you're looking at around about from 2,200 Rand to 2,700 Rand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the price. So if you do a comparison between your combination of, whatever, headphones, earbuds, and a combination of those two with your sunglasses, it's basically, it's very minimal.
Minimal,
Yeah, if you do the combination between the Ray-Ban and the earphones. So, and the product itself, it's a combination of both. So you have, the earphones and the complement of the sunglasses as well.
Yeah.
So you can either use the earphones with everything, or you can just not, and you just use it as sunglasses.
Yeah.
So that's the use of it.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you want to listen to music.
Yes.
You want to be out there. You want to listen to music.
Yes.
And I mean, I found myself in the restaurant. Dan speel hulle zang music.
Yeah.
Then I put my phone on and then I listen to some some old school music. So I think also for those listening to like podcasts or whatever you have, you can use it even if driving as well.
Yeah.
And I mean nowadays not all cars have got Bluetooth. Let's be honest. There's people that's driving around with cars. I mean when somebody calls you, you don't have to answer. You can just
You can't take your car radio with you.
Yeah, you keep on. Yeah. So I think it is convenient that you can actually, wherever you are, listen to music or...
Yes.
The product's very progressive and keeps you on the go. So like for even everyone in the gym, the guys that's walking, cycling, on the golf course, all these guys that want to be hands-free and still communicate at the same time, they're all able to do it via the product.
Yeah.
And it also, the product, like we said earlier, it's compatible with prescription, so you're able to correct your vision and see, correctly, and then also have the feature functionality of the frame at the same time.
And I have to be honest with him, it's very easy to set it up.
Yes.
When I got the glasses
Very
from you,
user-friendly, yeah.
user-friendly, yeah. So when I got the glasses from you, I didn't know what to do.
Yes.
So I went home, took it out of the box. I see it's a charger,
Yeah.
and I plugged it into the frame.
Yes.
But a matter of time, it was fully charged, and then it picked up on my phone.
on the
It
Bluetooth,
works the same as any other Bluetooth
Device,
device.
yeah.
So it's very
Very user-friendly.
user-friendly, you know. And so what do you have there?
Okay, so we got what this is called the VX02
Mhm.
model. I'm not sure if you guys can see it.
Yeah, you can just lift it up for them.
Lift it up. Okay, so this is the VX2. Okay, over here we got the speaker.
Nice.
The speakers are there. So the sound comes through behind the temple.
Yeah.
So you get some clarity, HD sound coming through there, and then also we have the magnetic charger, and this is the charger over here.
Yeah.
So it's a magnet, and
Yeah.
then obviously the USB port goes in. So it's pretty much simple.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like I said, it gives you about 4 hours of listening time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charging is about
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Yeah.
Which
That's
is-
big
which
long.
is fine.
decent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it keeps you on the go, yeah, so you
Yeah.
don't have to charge too long.
Yeah.
And then also come with a nice pouch,
It
and,
comes
I
with a
like
pouch
the
and a
pouch,
cloth.
eh?
Yeah.
and then a cleaning cloth as well to clean it.
So, and the thing is this, with this brand,
And
you
it's
guys are the founders of this brand.
Yeah.
So it belongs to you.
Yes.
You know, it's a under
That's
brand.
middle
No.
money.
Okay,
you know.
okay. And so, like, say tonight somebody wants to buy a pair, they can buy it online.
On the website online, yeah.
There's an option to pay online, and you will
Yes.
deliver it.
Yes.
Deliver it all.
And look, even if they do buy it online, you know, we actually went as far as we had a discussion with Miles. You go into www.vsmarteyewear, and then also if you do purchase it online,
Mm-mm.
you use Cape Flat Stories, you get a discount.
Yeah, you'll get a
I
discount.
say,
Awesome.
I was like, those discount, man. You know, we like discount.
We give it a discount, yeah.
Yeah,
So
you know, so we like,
we'll
so
give
you
you a
put your
code.
code, yes.
Yeah,
You know.
Cape
All your viewers and listeners will be able to
Mm-mm.
access the discount.
The film you have is very nice for
I love this.
That's actually one of the new
one of
models.
the new
I'm
models.
actually-
I love it. I
I'm
love
gonna
it.
take it
When I saw this frame, I was like, you know what? I'm sold.
No, it is
I
a
love-
nice
I love
frame,
it,
you
I
know.
love it,
It is
I
nice
love
and clear. It is not,
Yes.
yeah.
And,
So
it-
I should
and
like
one
it.
of the main features that we never mentioned was it's also like it's waterproof.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it has a 10-meter radius, so you
Mm.
can leave your phone on the desk wherever and still make your way wherever and answer your call.
Yes.
Because it has a one-touch navigation.
Yeah.
So you answer the call and receive,
Mm.
Okay.
and obviously drop the call as well.
And
Yeah.
and obviously you can
And then
switch
change
switch
your
it on and
music
switch
as
it off
well.
as
Yes,
well.
your songs as well, you can change.
Yeah.
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 So
So
you
if
don't
you're
have to
listening
be
to music,
physically close to
Yeah.
the phone, yeah.
yeah. So if you're listening to music, you want to pause it. You may be speaking to someone,
Mm-mm.
and then you want to pause it. Just double tap on the
Yeah.
right, and if you want to change your song,
Mm-mm.
it's double tap on the left, and it changes the song.
Waarom-
Amazing.
Ik heb nou dat zo gemaakt.
It's something
Yeah.
in the future, something we
It
need to
is.
get used to, the
Yeah.
African
Yeah.
market, and we're
Yeah.
hoping like the Cape Flats can support
Mm.
us,
Yes.
Yeah.
and and then we can
Yeah.
just roll it out as far as possible.
They must support you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's important for us to support our own people
Because what we're doing, Stan, if you're building a bridge, like you said earlier with another brand, I don't want to
Yeah.
mention their name too much. We're building the bridge and we're closing it in terms of like the price and
Mm.
affordability, so we're bringing it to our people.
yeah.
And then later in the year, also we got something exciting coming out. We got a
Yeah.
camera feature,
Yeah.
so you're able to record.
Yes.
That's something we'll come back to
I
and
am
show
gonna-
you.
In the
I am
future.
gonna
We'll come show you
invite
the
him.
product.
Nice.
Once that's
I want to be like the guy in Cheetahs on this side
Yeah.
of the
Oh
investigation.
my gosh.
something to look forward to.
But the thing is this, you guys mentioned that you guys are working with the lab.
Yes.
So there's a lot of other things happening.
Yes,
So
behind
the
the
technology
business.
will evolve as time goes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Mm-mm.
definitely.
Okay. And also for the guy on the street that wants to lay by, is there laybys?
Yes, we are joining pages now.
Okay.
We're on the processes of setting up that system,
Mm.
and so that will be available soon. So if you are wanting to pay it off, there's a 3-month option where you can get it off paid via the Pages Now app.
Mm.
Mm-mm.
So that's
And so you're going back home when?
15th of June.
15th of June.
15th of June.
Is
Yes.
it a month or so?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, dedicated, you know, to look at the end of the day, you know, if you're running a business and a
Mm.
venture, you know, you want to make it a success and
Yeah.
you want to make it easy, you know, for the
Yeah.
people, you know, to
Yeah.
obtain also what you have.
Yeah.
And the product stand, you know, it's user friendly,
Mm.
but it's a helpful tool that you can also have.
Definitely. We're living in a time where crime is high.
Yes.
I actually wanted to ask you, like in the future,
Yeah.
is there no way how you can put the app in here or link to an app, like where somebody feels their life is in danger
Yes.
and automatically it calls 1-111?
Mm.
yeah.
Because I think if you can do that, you know, I mean, you are not safe anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
But also with you being at the robots, your phone
Mm.
don't have to be next to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can basically pick up your phone, or even if you was in a bus,
Yeah.
you can talk to your glasses.
Look like if you like what you're saying is actually it's a really good point, Stan. And your phone is linked via if you have like Android is Bixby or Siri.
Yeah.
You know, so it's voice command also. So if you do have your phone open or you have your phone and it's like hey Bixby or hey Siri, it automatically, you know, it picks up and then you can say call this one or call that one. Yeah. It will automatically ring. Because that's what I do, you know, when I'm driving, I say like, call my wife. Yeah. You know, or call Ishma, you know, and then what it does is it automatically phones without me touching my phone. Yeah. You know, so that is something, you know, that it's useful, you know, in that sense.
And for the Buddhas that have 3 wives, so you can say, call my first wife, call my second wife, or my third wife.
Hopefully they don't call the wrong one.
Going back to the safety thing, like, you know, when you have the earpods, you can't really see the surrounding.
No.
So this gives you the ability to still be aware at the same time and give you the same, you know.
That's what I like about the glasses. Yes,
you know?
Because when I walked, the earphones was in my ears, right? So you couldn't hear the cars. You know, now you can listen to your music and you can still hear people hooting it in someone.
So that saves your life.
Yes. Because we are so focused that we're listening to music, but you know, and the sound of the ear of the
is quite
good. It's
and
really
with
good.
crime as well, Stan. People, you know, with people out there, you know, taking chances with crime and stuff. So to be aware and have a full awareness around you. And be able to listen to music or do whatever you want to do. That's very convenient and safe.
And so you guys want to give away a pair of glasses. So if you've been following the page, so if you have been following the page, they had a competition. I actually said it on Cape Flip Stories a few times, and there was a few people that subscribed and that participated.
Yes, you have to like, tag, and you shared, like, and tag 5 friends.
So you're going to give away a pair of VX?
So if it's the VX, this one, or it's the other one. If we're going to do it, like if it's a female, we'll give you the option to take there's a nice female one we've got there as well. Very stunning.
Yeah, and even the product range also, you know, we have, talking about the product, we have 14 different selections that you can choose from. So once you go onto the website, you can choose, you know, which pair you want, and, you know, and then, but there is different styles that you can choose from.
So there's something for everyone.
Yeah, and it's also prescription compatible also. Very important.
Yes.
You know, so if you do wear prescription lenses, it is compatible, you know, for the prescription lenses also. Because the quality of the product and the frame, you know, it supports the prescription as well.
Like, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm happy. It has been almost between 3 and 4 weeks. I'm happy with my glasses.
Yes.
And I'm not going to lie to you, even when I walk my 4 or 5 hours, I get it in, you know. So when I charge it, there's enough electricity on here for, you know, until Eskom shuts down. Yeah. But we want to draw a name tonight.
Yes.
And so Miles will do the honors.
Don't you want to pass me that? Stan, you do
Stan,
the honors. You draw for us.
Yeah. En as sommer ek kies nou ander
mense
naam. Don't draw your name, please.
Okay, you do it.
Stand draw.
Okay, you go, I'll keep it, you draw.
Okay. Somebody that I don't know.
Okay,
Catherine Billings
Roux.
Catherine Billings Roux. So you can collect your price.
No, but we will be in contact with her.
Yeah. Yes.
We
will be in contact with Catherine because they follow the page, you know. So we will get in contact with her, you know, via the social media. Yeah. And then
we'll get her to take a photo.
And a big congratulations. Just take a photo, send it to us, and then also give us a review. You know. But I'm happy. And I mean, you guys are happy. You guys wear your own brand. Yes. And that's the nice thing about you guys. You represent yourself.
Yes.
So what is the future plans? What can we expect? Where are you guys expanding to?
Okay, look, it's Miss Kenya, it's New Zealand, Australia, but also, like, you know, from South Africa's perspective, you know, we just want to say thank you, you know, to everybody that has been supporting us. And businesses also, you know, that we have quite a good positive feedback, you know, from a lot of collaborations that we've been doing, and a lot of the optometrists also. Okay. So, you know, a lot of businesses, you know, that wants to do a collaboration, and the optometrists also, you know, if they want, they can get in contact with V-Smart Eyewear, and we can set up the appointment, and we can go there, and we can, you know, just showcase our product, you know, and to get it, you know, inside of the stores and inside of the optometrists.
So if you want more of them, follow them, or even message me. I'll put you in contact with Miles or with Salie. It's important for us to support our own, but also it's a good product. Yes. Definitely something that is out there. Any last words from you guys?
No, I just want to say that your listeners mustn't forget about the discount.
So there's a discount, yeah. So if you buy online,
Very important, yeah.
type in Cape Flat Stories, and then that will get you a discount. Compliments of Stan. I see Malik is buying a PV.
Nice. Yeah, we can discuss that afterwards. What Malik is,
Malik.
yeah. But also, like, to the listeners also, look, we're from the Cape Flats.
Yeah.
Stan, and the product that we have, it's a unique product.
Yeah.
It's a product for the future.
Yeah.
So from myself, Kashif and Miles, how we come from Cape Flats. And as a business, and we're just looking for the support, from our people, to support us through our journey, and also, like, if you do know of businesses, that support them, if it's either via buying the product, or even, just by sharing the post, or by, having just a good word and spreading the word. That's important, because at the end of the day, that is how we, as people of the Cape Flats, was a colored means, we uplift each other.
Yes.
And that's important, because there's a lot of good work that we as a company would like to venture into.
Yes.
Like helping the goalkeeper, with. So eventually, once we are on a good standing where we can contribute positively, to the community, and that's where we would love to, be. Within the future, we would. Like these foundations, and that's because that's very important to us. Giving back to the community. So
I was just thinking, so many people don't know this. So in the techie called ASIC, ASICs came to South Africa, actually to Cape Town. ASICs was sold in Pick and Pay in Constantia.
Yes.
And nobody knew about it. I know my brother and his friend, they were from the first ones wearing it. That was now in the late 80s. You could buy it where you buy your food at Pick and Pay. Many years later, ASICs is one of the big brands where you have to go to a sportsman warehouse or wherever.
Yes.
And it's because of us.
Yes.
And I'll be very honest, even many shoe products and clothing products we made famous. If you look at, and I'm going to mention, if you look at the Red Bed, we make it famous.
Yeah.
So why can't we make our own brothers? That is what I'm about, And obviously you guys are going to evolve, and you guys are going to do better.
Yes.
And like you've mentioned, your journey is also to give back later on to the Cape Flats.
Yes.
Definitely.
But thank you so much.
Thank you, Stan.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I just want to say thank you to you, for all your, for all your good work, that you do, Stan, because, without people like yourself, and a lot of people out there that does work positively, we need a lot of people like yourself, that give us a voice, and that give us, the positivity, to make a difference within our community, because without the people like you, we it's just, so thank you, Stan.
No, this is a pleasure. And we're going to give away tickets till one day to go to New Zealand.
Nice.
The idea is to grow the brand.
Yes.
But thank you so much, gentlemen.
Thank you, Stan.
And we're happy you enjoying your classes.
Yes.
It's a brilliant product, and I will lie to people that because you guys are being honest.
Nice.
I'm enjoying it. I have been wearing that brand for a long time,
and
switching over to this brand.
Yes.
I am giving it a chance.
Awesome.
Gentlemen,
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was Mr. Miles en Salie. Salie came all the way from New Zealand.
Yes, guys.
Hy vlieg eerst weer terug volgende maand. Hy is getrouwd, dames.
Yes.
I just want to put it out there. But thank you so much for joining me. And may this brand grow from strength to strength.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
See you. Okay, bye-bye. Bye.